Hello again. Welcome to the Palm Beach Poetry Festival. This is a wonderful day, one I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. The two poets who are reading today are the most generous of people and wonderful, wonderful poets. I think there are still some people coming in, but I guess we better get started. The poets will be introduced today by Myra Shapiro, and because her nephew teaches at Lynn University, who was one of the original co-presenters of the festival last January, I thought it would be nice for David Fleischer just to briefly introduce Myra Shapiro. So David Fleischer.
It is such a pleasure to be able to have Myra Shapiro here at the second annual Palm Beach Poetry Festival. Not the least of which, as Miles just mentioned, because she's my aunt, and I always enjoy seeing her and being with her. I've known for a long time that Myra was a wonderful poet, and that feeling was reinforced after I read her book, collection of poems called I'll See You Thursday. Every year, Myra teaches a poetry workshop at Skidmore College as part of the International Women's Writing Guild. 7 years ago, when I was offered the job teaching in the English department at Lynn University, I was faced with a challenge, and that challenge was I had to create a syllabus. I was teaching English 102, which is a required course. And as part of this course, it was divided up into 3 genres: short fiction, poetry, and drama. Well, being a playwright, I felt fairly secure in being able to select pieces for the drama section and also for the short fiction section, but I needed a little guidance when it came to poetry. It wasn't my strong suit, to be honest with you. So I asked Myra if she would give me a hand. And I'll never forget, this was when we went to a restaurant in Greenwich Village called The Cloister. And Myra and I went out back. I had my textbook in hand, big, thick textbook, and I was going to go through the poems, and she was going to help me select which poems to include in my syllabus. And we sat outside in this beautiful garden in The Cloister. And it's funny how certain things you just don't forget. And I'll never forget, as Myra and I sat there, and I was saying, help me, I need some help. And she talked with such enthusiasm and passion about the poems that she recommended that I include in the syllabus. I can only hope that I pass on that same level of passion and enthusiasm to my students that I received from Myra 7 years ago in that garden at the Cloister. So please welcome someone who has certainly enriched my appreciation for poetry, Myra Shapiro.
In doing such a thing, in Miles deciding to have David introduce the introducer, I recognize a desire for making connections, for making among us who are gathered here, who are here, strangers, individuals, united by our love of poetry. And that's what Miles, I think, is about, and why this will be a successful festival, a family of poets. How fortunate to begin the reading series in this second Palm Beach Poetry Festival with Laure-Anne Bosselaar and Kurt Brown, 2 poets married to each other. They can be an emblem for this phenomenon of workshops, of connections, where we give each other attention and support. The joy of being with others who know what we're talking about. who want to talk about what we're talking about. In Laure-Anne Bosselaar's poems, her love of language is evident. Fluent in 4 languages, Flemish was her first. She lets us hear the marvel of those multitudes. Listen to the worlds in less than 2 lines from her poem, English Flavors. I love to lick English the way I licked the hard, round licorice sticks the Belgian nuns gave us. Here is a poet with an eye, an ear, smell, and taste for a speck of dust, a flake of snow, a personal knowledge of wars and roadkill, and the desire for love. Read her love poems. You'll laugh and cry for what is found there. Dry sinuses, the curl behind a left earlobe, the vows we make to our pillows. Bring love to me. Laure-Anne Bosselaar is a profound poet of pay attention. How blessed we are that she does. Laure-Anne Bosselaar.
Before I start, I just want to say how lucky we are to be in this place, to be with these people who've come from everywhere to gather around one thing, and that is to love. Love poetry, love each other's poems, love each other's stories. And who do we owe this to? To a man who worked all his life and then decided he was going to do what he really loved. And he went to school and he got an MFA and he creates this conference. I mean, how beautiful is that? How lucky are we? Also, yesterday, thank you to the volunteers. We arrived, there are smiles. This is we are lucky. We are lucky people right here. I'm going to start with a poem from my new book, because last night, Kurt and I were walking with Tom Lux, and I was saying to Tom, how lucky are we? You know, we could be in an office, we could be, and then Tom said, well, we could be writing text for catalogs, seed catalogs, you know, and look at us here. And so I thought of those jobs, those odd things, and I'd written a poem about it. So here it is. It's called Who. Who, right now, and every day, threads one of the 7,777 needles with blue, black, and beige thread, then slips them with a black button, a white one, a small nail file, plus 2 safety pins into tiny plastic bags that fit neatly inside the Ritz's sewing kits. Who twirls 2 twirls in each of the 4 perfectly equidistant twirly gigs around those long orange extension cords? Who's in the 11th car at the red light eating an Egg McMuffin at 5 a.m. and is always on time 5 times a week to haul soiled sheets out of hospital laundry carts and stuffs them into bags before the laundry truck arrives? Who typed in and double-checked the spelling of your name and address and phone in the yellow pages? And the men last night who threw their small bags over a fence, then slipped under it and joined the other men in the trucks to work for the owners of gherkin fields for who knows how much an hour. Who? Say thank you. My parents put me in a nunnery when I was almost 4, and I ran away when I was 17, and I've been happy ever since. You just needed to know this for the following poem. The Radiator. Winters in Bruges were a monochrome of brown and gray, as were the huge wrought iron radiators in the nunnery. I believed the banging north winds came to die in those pipes. I was 8 then, ugly, awkward, shy. Nuns slid along granite halls, hands in black tunnels of serge. Soon dawn would cast its light through the stained glass of the chancel. And I longed for that moment when the hyacinth cape of the Virgin bloomed and the cheeks of Jesus blushed as if from a sinful dream. My uniform itched, knitted socks stopped an inch under the knee, and flannel skirts half an inch above. My thighs were chapped from rubbing on benches and stiff sheets. At 5:45 in the morning, we stood at the chapel doors in shivering rows of 3. I was cold, always cold during those interminable Catholic winters. Mother Marguerite was late that day, and the radiator banged next to me. I lifted my skirt, jumped, and straddled it. Raw thighs against the lukewarm metal. Annabel pointed, "I'll tell on you." Judith whispered, "You'll be punished." The door opened and I froze. Like a mad magpie, Mother Superior's cornet flapped in my face. "Get off there," she croaked, "immediately." "Forgive me, Mother," I dared, "but why?" Her knotted fingers were ice on my wrist. "It gives ideas," she said. I didn't look at the Virgin's cape that day or at Jesus blushing. I couldn't figure out what Mother Superior meant. Years later, in the back of a black Peugeot, I understood. It was forbidden, hard, and warm. There are certain dinners that I deeply, profoundly hate with all my soul. And this was one of them. This is called Dinner at the Who's Who. Amid swirling wine and flickers of silver, guests quote Dante, Brecht, Kant, and one another. I wait in the hall after not powdering my nose, trying to recompose that woman who'll graciously take her place at the table and will not tell her hosts. I looked into your bedroom and closets. I smelled your obsession and brute, sat on your bed, imagined you among those spotless sheets, looked long into the sad eyes of your son staring at your walls from a velvet frame. And I tried to smile at myself in your mirrors, wondering if you smile that way too, those resilient little smiles one smiles at oneself after a long day or a long night ahead, guests coming for dinner. So I wait in this hall because there are nights it's hard not to blurt out enough. Stop that Pulitzer, Wall Street, PC, Dante, wars, have some Chianti. Let's stop. Let's talk about our thirsts and obsessions, about our bedrooms and closets, the brutes in our mirrors, the eyes of our sons. There's time yet. Let's talk. I'm starving. This is for my workshop. Because I was explaining how we can fall in love with certain lines that we write, and they are damn beautiful, you know. They really are. They're such good lines, and they just don't belong in the poem. So this is for you, my workshop. Revisionist cruelties and doubts. When I click on empty trash, the can icon on my screen makes a cute little crash sounds. The lid flicks up, the can snaps shut, and the room hums again with my Mac's windy whir. Done. Gone. What I just wrote, zapped. No regrets. No bending down under the desk to salvage and palm flatten scribbled 8.5 by 11 paper balls. Censured the lovely lines, the stuttering fricatives of fallen leaves, or long and melancholic shadows linger in the village square at dusk. Click, drag, trash, quit. Kill those little darlings electronically. No wasted trees, lead, ink, or proofreader's marks on paper doomed to burn with concobs and clams on a dump stuttering out useless heat. But what if? What if that heat one long and melancholic dusk warmed a gull's frozen wings? Or muses pilfered dumps and rescued lines and brought them back to us, purified? What if computer trash can contents composted up there and came bursting out one day, a thick garbled muck, and censored our writings with binary bedlam? No, better stick to paper baskets, pads, pencils, pens. Better fuel the dumps with our scribblings. Write by hand about those gulls, the tattered pages of their wings uncensored in the wind. Birthday. When winds whet their edges on the angles of roofs, and long mains of rain leave traces on my window, when the last leaves let go, have all let go, and it's almost winter again. Don't remember my birthday. Give me another one. Let it be in May. Sated, lit, the month my children were born, but not in November, gray gorged as the morning when I first gasped, unwelcomed by my parents. 40 years later to the day, I closed the casket at last on my father's bloated face. His white mane slicked back, I almost stroked it. No one with me at the Antwerp crematory. My mother too busy planning the funeral reception, and he had no family. Not a leaf was left on the old cemetery oaks. Even the wind had nothing to hang on to. So it slapped the ashes into the rain that soaked the fur coat my mother had forced me to wear. Do it for me. Look like a lady for once. But no one saw me, except for the funeral employees eager to get it over with. Belgium was playing Germany at soccer that day. So let's say I was born in the heart of May. Leaves alive with rain, oaks in the park, freckling benches with mellow shades. Send me a card then, or take me out to a sidewalk cafe and let's not talk too much. That would be plenty. That would be enough. Thank you. Elegy. The past lies in the scar, the swath I left crossing a summer meadow in Belgium. I wanted to see my old house one last time and cross the field at dawn. Some grasses lifted their heads after my passage, wild chamomile and chervil, but the touch-me-not lies crushed. I found nothing there I wanted to remember, to bring back, and no one was there to see me turn away. That's why I love living in America. Thank you. Garage sale. I sold her bed for a song of yearning like an orphan's, or the one knives carve into bread, but for the unbroken bread song too, for the song that a river sings to the ferryman's oars, with that dread in it, for a threadbare tune, garroted, chest-choked, cheap, a sparrow's, a beggar's, a foghorn's call. For the kind of song only morning can slap on love-stained sheets. That's what I sold my mother's bed for, the one she died in. I sold it for a song. Traffic jams. I hate traffic jams. Our Lady of Pity. It's only 4:10 in an afternoon of cars, trucks, and school buses ahead and behind me, freeing the same kids they locked in hours ago. Thousands who all said, I, me, yes, or no, at least 10 times today. Who came from or went to somewhere, who listened or didn't, like everyone did or didn't during this day of backed up cars, subways, houses. Each with its doors and windows. Think of this. Each with windows or doors that were opened, locked, or left behind for other doors, other windows. And it's only 4:10. In an afternoon of people who never had a choice of which color eyes they'd have to look through for the rest of their lives, or in which arms, sea, bar, or year they'll die, without ever having held that man or that woman they saw once, a scorching they'll never forget, that one life that could have changed theirs forever, could have damned them or saved them, all those women and men from this life, the life they're stuck with at 4:10 today, some of them idling with me on the corner of Ringe and Rice. And it's not even raining, not even cold or beautiful. And now my gray Toyota is jammed between a yellow bus and a blue pickup. while this guy croaks car sales on the radio, and I stare at a church sign begging, pray to Our Lady of Pity. Pray? For pity? Me? For what? It's too late in the day to pray for that. There's nothing left to redeem. And I won't need the lady's pity when I'll be mass transited to the clogged soul jam up there, stuck again, but among the meek and some popes, and waiting for the dog, our friends, my husband, our kids, and then finally for a God, any God, who'll take me and who'll say it was okay not to pray for the end of this day, at the beginning of this millennium, crisp, bewildered, and destined. I'd like to thank you again, Miles, friend. I'm so honored to be here, and I just feel mighty proud. Night. Lights go off one by one in buildings across the street. There's something solemn about this. The lone drone of cars and cabs, an urban lullaby to shut windows. Pull the sheet over this day, subway driver, Torah reader, birthday girl, pimp. Pull the sheet, soldier's mother, corpse dresser, drunk man's bride. Sleep, my daughter, sleep, my son. Sleep, Jeremiah Smith, the newborn he delivered in a charity ward today. Sleep. Wrap a wing around the orphan, the hungry woman, the caged man. Shut your eyes, face your walls. The scythe's tallow blade tilts toward the earth. So sleep. For the one who knows horror, the one who dares speak in God's name, sleep. Don't listen to the clockmaker. He's setting the alarm. Sleep until it rings. Sleep toward the waking and the windowless night. Thank you very much. Thank you, Myra.